6. Briefing. The crew gathers after showering and dressing in the mess hall. They are tired from cryo-sleeping. Ripley wears a jumpsuit and her lucky high tops, salvaged from the Narcissus shuttle. He follows the conversation and actions of others. The soldiers are experienced. They have worked together in various missions for years. Discipline is noticeably lax. They act childish. They mock Acheron. Also, the women, Vasquez, Dietrich, Lydecker, and Farrow, act like the others, joining in on the banter. All this changes like lightning in combat. Ripley is treated with diffidence as an outsider. Vasquez, "What's your name again?" Ripley answer, "Ripley." Vasquez, "Yeah." Vasquez turns away. The slight is intentional. His arrogance and meanness continue. Vasquez, "What are you supposed to be here for?" Ripley begins to answer but gets cut off. Vasquez says the only thing she needs to know about the alien is where it is so she can blow it away. Ripley hopes she's right. Hudson launches into a monologue about the hardware they're packing. He lists features of ordnance like options on a luxury car, dropship ordnance like tactical nuclear smart missiles, 100 megawatt X-ray laser cannon, independently targeting particle beam phalanx, and the portable stuff. Cybernetic combat armor, gyro-stabilized phase plasma rifles, grenade launchers, rocket launchers, knives, and sharp sticks. Lieutenant Gorman enters, looking clean-shaven and trim in his crisp uniform. Acheron, 10 Hut. Gorman starts out a general briefing on the mission by making a fool of himself. He comes off as a neophyte, masking a lack of field experience with strict adherence to procedure. Drake, the gunner, rolls his eyes, looks over at Vasquez. Vasquez, frag bait. Gorman, oblivious to the impression he's making, continues his ramble. He presents Ripley's warning and the loss of contact with the colony, the abrupt absence of the subspace check-in transmissions. It all sounds a bit thin in the recon department. Acheron points out that the colony could simply be having transmitter problems. Gorman continues to outline the time frame, dropship loading and pre-flight rundown, field stripping and checking all weapons, review of target, 10 hours, then sleep. First assembly at 0500, dropship launch at 0730. Meeting dismissed. In the corridor of Sulaco, Ripley catches up with Bishop. Ripley, on the roster you're designated as ECA cyborg assignee. You're a synthetic human, an android. Bishop, that's correct. Is there a problem? Ripley, why did they send you? Bishop explains that all corporate operation ships now utilize cyborg captains as standard procedure because of their unique fail-safe qualities. She looks at him, then turns away. The scene is divided into several different parts and points in the film. For example, Hudson's knives and sharp sticks monologue appears in the 1983 version before they are briefed regarding the mission. In the special edition of the movie, the scene occurs when the crew is about to land on the planetoid by dropship. Vasquez's arrogant comment to Ripley about destroying the aliens is also later in the film in the briefing. Ripley confronts Bishop regarding him being a synthetic after reading the crew roster, rather than finding out inadvertently at breakfast. 7. Descent to Acheron. In Sulaco's loading area, Gorman is pointlessly supervising loading. Ripley approaches Gorman and demands that Bishop be replaced by a human being. Ash, the company android on the Nostromo, was complicit in her shipmates' deaths and tried to murder her. Gorman, corporate policy is corporate policy. They've been used androids for years and they haven't failed yet. In the ready room, Vasquez and Drake handle weapons. Vasquez notices Ripley watching her from the door. She points her finger, cocks her thumb, and blows away an imaginary alien. Ripley doesn't think it's funny. The Sulaco stabilizes its orbit to Acheron. Hicks is using a huge exoskeleton power loader to move heavy equipment into the dropship. He is having problems by using power loader. Ripley feels like a fifth wheel and she wants to help. Ripley had lots of hours in them before her officer days. She offers to take over. Hicks looks skeptical. The massive machine moves smoothly under her control. The team is ready to drop. Apone prowls the aisle, checking off gear. In the cockpit, Pharaoh starts the release sequence. Bishop monitors all movements from the Sulaco's bridge, reports that there is no radio response from the colony. Dropship screams down through the stratosphere and plunges into the dark turbulence. In the cockpit, Pharaoh flies tensely as the ship is buffeted. Hay calls out altitude and course information. Hudson is calmly talking about his favorite foods to see if he can get Gorman to throw up. The ship lurches, almost waking up Hicks, who's not an early riser. For the combat veterans, this could just as well be a bus ride. Dropship emerges from a low cloud ceiling. Hey, stay wide of the atmosphere plant. Convection turbulence. Apone, hold at 60. Apone calls to Pharaoh from the cockpit doorway. Apone, slow circle of the complex. Apone turns to the troops. Apone, all right, the A-team, gear up, let's move. 2 minutes. Somebody wake up Hicks. A clatter of activity as they don their backpacks over their body armor, respirators, helmets with video cameras and motion trackers, equipment belts. Vasquez and Drake buckle on gun harnesses which support the massive smart guns, computer-aimed automatic energy weapons. At Ripley's suggestion, they carry a few flamethrowers as well. Hicks asks Ripley if she's going out with them. Ripley disagrees. She's staying with Gorman, who's supervising by remote video from the troop ship. Those figures, Drake mutters to Vasquez. The buildings are visible from the cockpit of the dropship. They seem okay from above, but there is zero activity, very ominous. Gorman says to Pharaoh, set down by the control block. The immediate dust-off is Sergeant Apone's clear signal. Apone says to the group, all right, look sharp. I want a clean dispersal this time. 10 seconds. Dropship lands on Acheron. The ship's door opens and the troops hit the ground running. The dropship leaps up in a cloud of spray and peels off. Apone gives orders and A and B teams separate and disperse, finding separate cover. Again, several scenes are slightly different in the 1983 version than in the film. On the Sulaco, it is Hicks who uses the power loader to load ordnance. When he has problems with the machine, Ripley takes over from him, rather than driving a spare loader. Unlike the movie, in the 1983 version, Bishop stays on the Sulaco and Ripley stays aboard the dropship with Gorman, refusing to go in on the ground. One big difference between the 1983 version and the movie is that the soldiers don't deploy inside an APC. Instead, they simply move out on foot when the dropship touches down, running towards the colony. 8. Nuke the whole place. Outside the colony complex, the A and B teams are waiting, scanning the bleak buildings. A neon sign creaks in the wind. No other movement. Apone, B team, hold positions. A team, assembly is me at the main lock. They run to the control block's main entrance. Apone tries the entry switches and emergency overrides, but the steel doors remain closed. Hudson pries off the panel and hot wires it. The doors rumble open. They enter cautiously. Vasquez and her smart gun are on point. Inside Colony Complex, the corridor and rooms are deserted. Only the emergency lights are on. Puddles of water cover the floor. The empty corridor recedes into the dim distance. They move forward systematically. Apone brings the second team forward to pace them as a rear guard. As they move through the complex, they find disturbing signs of struggle. Holes in the wall from what appears to be acid splashes and automatic weapons. burned out rooms, shattered furniture and doors, rain-soaked Spartan offices and quarters. There are no bodies, although here and there a spray of dried blood is found. They find a corridor blocked by a barricade of hastily welded steel plate. Inside the dropship, Ripley watches via helmet cameras in the monitor bay. Her fears are confirmed. The alien had an incredibly strong acid for blood. Inside Colony Complex, the two teams move forward, searching the maze. One wing is completely without power. They switch to helmet lights. Inside the dropship, Ripley sees the melted evidence of many alien casualties increasing. Her fear builds. She tells Gorman to get his teams out of there. Gorman says there may still be survivors. Ripley is sure there aren't. She recommends they clear off and nuke the whole place. The troops entering the building is very similar in the movie as in the 1983 version. In the 1983 version, Ripley looks at troop progression through the air in a dropship, not in an APC. Ripley is also determined about the situation and suggests destroying the planet. This Ripley's line is presented later in the film.
I say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Fucking A.
Oh, hold on 1 second. This installation has a substantial dollar value attached to it.
They can bill me.
Okay, look. This is an emotional moment for all of us, okay?